All right. Well, we'll get started. It's 7 o'clock. I want to welcome everyone to the ASEAN on the global stage. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone joining us today on Zoom. This is also being recorded, so it can be watched at any time zone. And as a professor, I will give my students extra credit for watching this later. Uh, and they'll have to write summaries for it. So my name is Dr. Mike Latanat Sengchun. I am an International Affairs Fellow with the Council on Foreign Relations and also an Associate Professor of History and one of the co-chairs for U.S. ASEAN Young Professionals Association. I'll introduce everyone in a little bit. I just have just some words to get us started here. Uh, we are absolutely thrilled to welcome you to this incredibly important and timely conversation. 680 million voices, 11 nations, one story to tell. It's time for ASEAN to take the global stage. We're absolutely thrilled to welcome you to this timely conversation hosted by the U.S. ASEAN Young Professionals Association, or USAYPA. For those who are unfamiliar, we are a leading organization dedicated to developing the next generation of Indo-Pacific leaders, not only in the United States, but also in the ASEAN region, and centralizing diverse voices of the diaspora, which we have here, uh, and bringing their voices into diplomacy and culture, especially right now, as some people are concerned about the relationship that the United States has with the region of Southeast Asia. We want to at least keep those connections going. We also, as an organization, offer access to jobs, internships, and careers and research opportunities. Tonight, we gather to focus on the heart of that diaspora through the lens of creativity. We like to focus on diplomacy and and economic stuff, but the creative world is also a great space that often can kind of get overlooked when it comes to these blending of regions and people. But ASEAN is home to over 680 million people, so it's massive, it's dynamic. There's hundreds and hundreds of different languages. If you count the different ethnic groups that often get overlooked by the governments that are in these countries. And so for far too long, the narrative of Southeast Asia has been told to us um, or simply ignored. Tonight, we turn the microphone over to the people who are not just demanding a seat at the table, but are actively building new, bigger tables across the world. So the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, as I mentioned, is home to 680 million people, and it is an organization that helps create some kind of unity among these diverse groups so that we can give an extra voice. So I want to spotlight our panelists who we considered our trailblazers. Okay, so from the dramatic sets of Hollywood to award-winning independent film, we welcome Yao, the Filipino-Malaysian actor, seen in Ryan Coogler's Sinners, alongside Michael B. Jordan, who is bringing complexity and nuance to the screen. And then from the fiery kitchens of Next Level Chef, surprised you survived Gordon Ramsay, but we have the Lao American cultural star chef Ae Southammavong, who again wowed Gordon Ramsay and is now charting her new journey from San Diego and trying to build more recognition to cultural traditions of Laos. And then behind the scenes of hip hop's biggest movements and collaborations with VH1 and BET, we have the visionary strategist Austin Thach, who amplifies authentic voices and shapes cultural narratives. And finally, our moderator, the founder of Southeast Collective and Submukgok. I'm adding maybe tones that don't exist there, but Victoria Seek Out, who is harnessing the power of social media to connect our diaspora and proudly highlight Southeast Asian culture. So the conversation ahead tonight, again, we will explore the challenges and the triumphs and deep significance of this work and of the people that are here with us. We'll drive into questions of identity, cultural storytelling, and responsibility that comes with representing 11 nations on the worldwide stage. So this is more than a panel. It's a moment to celebrate the influence that's growing, and but also to listen and to engage. So with all that, I want to turn the time over to Victoria to kick us off.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. I'm excited to be here. This is a panel of very talented professionals who are making waves in media, and I am excited to just be here in your presence because you guys are amazing. Um, I want to first introduce Yao, who Dr. Mark already said that he is a Filipino-Malaysian actor, and he was in Sinners, Ryan Coogler's Sinners with Michael B. Jordan, and I'm pretty sure that he was a crowd favorite. Everybody loved Yao. So unfortunately, Yao couldn't be here tonight, but he's filming a new project, and we just have a video to show a recording of his journey to Hollywood.
Sorry about that technical difficulty. Third time is the charm.
Hello, everybody. Hey, I'm Yao. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. Work called, so it is what it is. But yeah, really sorry that I couldn't be there, and I hope that some of these answers are helpful and useful for any of you. Okay, so number one, how would you describe the current state of ASEAN representation in the media spaces you operate in? I would say not enough flavor. And I think that we can do better by supporting other members from the C block. I think there are ASEAN American filmmakers out there among the Asian American filmmakers. And I think we do have to spend the majority of our time trying to bolster the Asian American political project or the immigrant monolith. And I don't honestly think that people want to do that, but I read this or I saw this fascinating documentary on the term Asian American and the usefulness of that politically. And I think, that's for politicians, so for any of my other panel members, maybe that's useful, but for me, and I think as artists, I think the more specific we can be, the better. And the more truthful we can be to our own experiences, the better, whatever that means, whatever you're interested in, go for it. Okay, number two, was there a specific moment or experience that motivated you to tell your story? Okay, no, I haven't met the moment yet for me that has motivated me to tell my story. Three, how has your cultural identity shaped your, okay. For me, self-description has never been simple. So I've had to learn about the spaces between culture and identity, where they overlap, and what, if any, parts are distinct. Number four, I read I had to choose between authenticity and market, but yeah. Early on, I didn't think that I could be myself. And that was a miserable experience. I think the more I've been allowed to work and the more I've gotten away with moments where I felt like I was being myself, I flourished more. And I'm in a place now where I'm trying to do the opposite of putting on my clothes, being all proper, so to speak, professionally, personally, in private or in person. And it feels difficult because I imagine in my, that I'm being watched all the time. And in certain cultures and countries, and in certain bodies too. It's very different for women. But really, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. And if you can find a way to not mind, it can be way more fun. In what ways do you push back against stereotypes or dominant narratives? Okay. Number one, pick your battles. They're not all worth it. And number two, take time to tell your story, because ignorance requires patience. And not all ignorance is benevolent, but it's not all malevolent either. Okay, representation and responsibility. Do you feel a sense of responsibility to represent? Okay. I used to, out of the anxiety of getting it right, you know, being a good Asian or son or artist or man, pick your poison. But like Mulan, my ancestors are all along for the ride, and whether or not they agree, my teachers and mentors are too. Creativity is my default. I live and breathe so that I can do art, and that's what God put me on this planet to do. I don't have many other relatives or ancestors who are actors, so I assume their advice would be anecdotal, which, you know, useful, but at the end of the day, it's me who's got to make the first brushstroke, and then the next, and the next, and the next, and learning that kind of agency and also that kind of solitude has been freeing. How do you balance personal storytelling with a desire to speak for a larger ASEAN audience? Okay. I can't think for other people. This is a lesson I need to keep reminding myself, even when I'm writing the most deep and most epic screenplay that's going to hit all the buttons. I have to put the story and the people in the story first. Everything else comes second and is a result of the finished product. And every story I write will be, in essence, personal because I wrote it. What's one common misconception about ASEAN people you wish? Okay, same, but different. Cross-cultural, okay, how do you ensure cultural nuances? Okay, same answers before. Number one, pick your battles because they're not all worth it. And number two, take time to tell your story because ignorance requires patience. Number 10, what does meaningful collaboration across ASEAN nations look like in your field? Lots and lots and lots and lots of delicious food. And probably some amazing myths, you know, Nusantara and I was just in Thailand recently and I went to like the museum in Bangkok and learning about the intersection of all those different cultures and religions and, you know, not all peaceful for sure, but yeah, it really is one of the coolest melting pots in the world, that region. So yeah, maybe really cool myths or like amazing like Game of Thrones style like serials and epics. Because you know, we really don't look all that different. So I think it'd be interesting to capitalize on the amazing wealth of stories that are there. How's your theater background in Southeast Asia shape your approach to global films? Okay. I was given a lot of responsibility very quickly after leaving undergrad in Singapore. The Singapore theater and film scene equals American productions in scale and scope and quality. So I learned how to be a professional, begin to handle the life of an actor. And Singapore itself maintains a philosophy of looking out and looking in. So I learned to hone the awareness of myself as a global artist. What challenges do ASEAN actors face when transitioning to international platforms? I think as an actor, it solely depends on your ability to use different dialects of English. If you can learn perfect accents or the language of wherever you want to work, you know, barring discrimination or no roles written for people who look like you, all these are suspects. There should be no obstacle. I will say that depending on what season it is and how dark my skin gets, you know, I can get cast in different roles. But in America, there's something, you know, they call them non-specific ethnicity roles. They can be a great way in. And if, you know, in America or even the UK, you're Chinese and maybe you look Filipino too, or vice versa, you know, learn how to pull that off. And the world is your oyster, you know, with discretion, of course. But being from Southeast Asia, we be blending. you know. So learn how to blend, I guess. Cool. Thanks for watching. Those were all the questions.
All right, now that we heard from Yao, I want to reintroduce A and Austin. Ae Southammavong, A Baby. She has graced the stage with Gordon Ramsay, making Lao food and Southeast Asian food known, and we thank her for that. She is unapologetically Lao and loud, and we love her for that because it really just shows that there are so many different ways of being Southeast Asian. And Austin Thach, he is a Vietnamese American strategist. He's worked with VH1, BET, and he is the CEO of the Forefront Group, a strategic marketing and communications firm. And you know what? Vietnamese American music has been in media, and we love to see our people win, and we love to see our people in media. I want to start out with a question for A and Austin, for whoever wants to answer first. How has your cultural identity shaped your creative and professional journey?
Austin, you want to go? Or
You can go ahead.
all right, cool. Okay, how has my cultural identity shaped my creative and professional journey? I would say in many ways, and I feel like the cultural identity that we do have, right, because we are so underrepresented, it could be a double-edged sword. So in one way, people may think, wow, like this is very different. This is really new. And people can be open to that. And in retrospect, when you think about brands or when you think about companies that do want to work with us, they may, feel timid or hesitant about collabing with such a niche demographic, right? And I feel like the way I have to navigate that, being very outspoken and just out there with like our culture, our food, our flavors, and I'm more of the food scene, is to make our food more known, share more of our flavors. And in that way, it opens the demographic of other people wanting to try Lao food, wanting to try katio, wanting to try, papaya salad, all the, fish sauce, all the pungent stuff. But I think that it's been good so far, but are there challenges? Absolutely.
Love that. I guess I'll go now. I think my cultural identity has always been like the quiet engine behind my work. Um, and I think being raised around stories, flavors, values, and perspectives never quite showed up in mainstream media. So when I entered, I would say, the entertainment industry, working in public relations and communications, I naturally approach product projects with a different rhythm and sensitivity. Um, and I think a big thing is like I understand code switching. So I understand what it feels like to be both deeply rooted and constantly adapting. So that's made me like intentional about the way I build narratives. Um, so I would say essentially my identity isn't like a theme in my work, but it's the foundation that shapes my taste, my integrity, and the way I move in these creative spaces.
Love that. Was there ever a specific moment for you or experience that motivated you to tell your story, Austin?
Honestly, not. I feel like I have so much still left to do. So I feel like I'm still in the stages of like, I don't think I've like gotten to a space or ex been in a space where I had to I felt motivated to like, or the need to share my story, I would say, right? I do think I'm in a lot of rooms, whether that's in media, marketing, or entertainment space. I rarely saw narratives that reflected my own family and upbringing. So I think there's an importance in showing that, but I haven't like felt the need to yet, I guess.
Yeah. What about you, A?
Um, I wouldn't say there has been a specific moment to really be like kaboom, like once
Yeah.
upon a time this day, right? Yeah. But I feel like for me, if you have followed my journey, is kind of going through the motions, right? Had the day job, was feeling very, unhappy with it, seeing what my next move was. And I just truly tried to analyze, what do I love to do? I love cooking, introducing Lao food, and I love hosting, right? I can talk all day and night. So I was like, how do I kind of blend that together? And I feel like the story that I have kind of been telling, and Austin, I love that you say that, because you're like, well, I don't know how to tell my story because I'm still writing it, and I
Yeah.
really love that, because especially in our space, right? Sometimes when people ask, what is your dream job? And I don't even know what it is. So when you really analyze it, if you don't know what it is, then what do? You just have to create it. So I'm going through the motions too, right? Creating it and everything. But I feel like ever since, right, when I quit my job and was able to be more outspoken of who I am authentically, and being very unapologetic about that, not having that corporate discretion just watching over me and be like, this is not right, this is not right, that is wrong, right? Just the opinion of others. I felt the more authentic I became, the more opportunities flowed my way. I feel
Hmm.
like people within the same energy and wavelength, they really started coming along when you start to get to know yourself and tell your story. And some people that love that story or want to be a part of it, they'll come and join. So yeah, I'm like you. I said I'm still writing it too, and it's cool because we can write anything, and that's the
Hmm.
freedom that we have, and I'm grateful for that.
Mhm. Have you guys ever had to choose between authenticity and marketability, sorry, being authentic or being marketable in your work?
Yes, I think there have been moments where I have been encouraged to like universalize or like soften the cultural specificity of an idea to make it more like relatable to like a larger audience. But I learned that authenticity and marketability aren't opposites. The industry that I'm in just hasn't always caught up to the fact that audiences or people crave and want real grounded stories. Um, so I think it's like making sure you're standing firmly on your cultural voice and don't shrink your audience, deepen it. But yeah, essentially I have.
Yeah, for me, definitely yes. It's something that I do struggle with to this day, but I've learned to navigate that in different ways, because yes, marketability. Yes. To be marketable, and especially like the first question, right? That was saying, it is a double-edged sword, being different and growing up, you have to be right. You have to fit in, or else you'll get bullied, or you have to do this and that. But when you grow up, every job interview is like, what makes you different? And you're just like, what the hell? Like, growing up, I just wanted to be like other people and all that. But as far as food wise and flavor wise, I find it difficult, especially as a food creator, um, with brands and with popular, right, corporate brands. They're kind of hesitant, and they're like, okay, how can you tweak this? How can you make, this soup? Then we have our own soups, but then how can you make this American soup? Like, um, sell it to your crowd, or sell it to this and that. But I always have to I guess the way through this is I started introducing like, hey guys, this is steak, right? Let me tweak it for you and make some namtok for you. So the base of the steak. Now I'm gonna put my flavors in it. So it is marketable. It is not too intense to where eat this fermented fish right now in my hand, right? So it's kind of the baby steps that you kind of have to do. And being like Lao American, you kind of have to navigate towards that. Now, am I going to get a dish and minimize the flavors or per se like whitewash the flavors of my dish? No, I'm not. I'm gonna put in my flavors slowly, but at the last bite, you're gonna get the full flavor, But I will give you grace and have patience with you, but you're gonna learn something today. Yeah.
I agree. We're not toning down our flavors. We're
Mm.
introducing you to our flavors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you ever feel a sense of responsibility to represent your country or culture in your work?
Yes, but not out of pressure. It's like out of like just being proud, out of pride, right? I don't feel the need to speak for everyone in the room, but I do feel a responsibility to represent, you know, represent with integrity, respect, and truth in terms of where I came from and my upbringing and my roots, especially just because misrepresentation has been the norm for so long.
What about for you, A?
For me, I feel like a sense of responsibility to influence younger girls to be more outspoken and to have a sense of fearlessness, right? In my content, I like to think that I show a lot of vulnerability and whether it be I'm not having a good day or somebody wrote me a hate comment, but guess what, I'm gonna clap back too. Just the fearlessness of that, like to be yourself and it's okay to. So for that, I feel a sense of responsibility, but I do not feel a responsibility to just impress the elders or the OGs to be a certain way at all, and I just be like respectfully, I'm not Miss Lao Universe, please do not.
Mhm.
I'm just out here cooking and slurping noodles, man. Like, what more can you ask from me? So yeah, it's the balance of the two. But I just want to influence, young and I'm the auntie, right? Everyone calls me auntie on TikTok when I'm on TikTok, and I'm giving them the young ones like game and all that, like stand up for yourself, do what you want,
Mhm.
follow your passion. Because a lot of Asian kids, right, we're like, don't do this, don't do that, and or follow a certain path. And I was that. Went to college, studied finance. My dad was like, you better study money or else you won't know how to make money. I was like, okay. And I'm like hitting 30 and miserable as hell. And I'm like, well, I'm going to slang sauces now and and start cooking, right? So it's just follow your passion and the money will come.
Yeah. How would you describe the ASEAN representation in your spaces right now? Do we need more? Where do we see ourselves in your media, in your space?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? I'm sorry, I have to think about that.
How would you describe the current state? Like, how do you see ASEAN representation in your space right now?
I mean, I work in like the entertainment space, so TV, film, music, fashion. I think, I honestly think we've grown a lot, right? I work with like Filipino artists, I work with Vietnamese American artists. Like, there's an artist named Twee, there's another artist named Rennie. I work with both of them. Um, Great representation for Asian Americans, right? When you see, I think I started seeing a shift in the in the TV film industry when Crazy Rich Asians came out. I think once that movie came out, it's literally I started seeing more representation on screens, on and off the screens, but between showrunners, directors, actors and actresses who are finally getting their flowers. Um, and then I think I'm from Maryland. So me being from Maryland, I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me. But once I moved to LA, I really was able to embrace my culture because I saw so many people who looked like me. So it's a great feeling. I do think that we've came a long way. I think the entertainment space is starting to embrace uh us, but I do think what we could probably work on, and hopefully I'm answering your question. I think what we could work on is like resource sharing, like investing in each other's talents in creative ecosystems.
Yeah, I agree. I love what I'm seeing in the Vietnamese spaces, especially with
Yeah.
Thuy, Sailor, Danielle from New Jeans, RIP to them. But I love the Vietnamese representation. So talented, so many talented people coming from Vietnam.
Yes, yes, I agree.
How
I
about
love
you,
Vietnamese
A?
people. I
What
love
about
Vietnamese
for?
people. My man's Vietnamese. Shout out.
I'm Vietnamese and Cambodian, by the way. So
Oh, sucks about
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, really good food then. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
Yao
the best of
Han
both
and
worlds.
Pho.
For me, I would say piggybacking off Austin, like it is very true. Within media or in television, I can say even me being casted at on Next Level Chef, the casting, you call it casting company? I'm not sure. The casting people, they were just very active in finding, right? Like finding, like, oh my God, I need something, like just, of course, it wasn't like that one box, it wasn't that one box because surprisingly, if you watch the season, there are two Asian girls instead of one. And I was like, yay. um, but I think that people are very actively, wanting to cast and, Asian, Hispanic and all of that. So I feel like that's really going. Now, as far as my food scene and industry wise, I say, hell yeah, like there is a lot of representation nowadays. And I love that our generation now is all about collaboration versus competition, right? Because, I don't know about you guys when we were younger, like it'll always be like, okay, be smarter than your friend, be smarter than your cousin, do better than them. And now for me, I'm like, can you please do better than me? So I could just hold your hand and reap the benefits that you have made. Like, can it not always be me? But I feel like there in the food scene, a lot of whether it's fusion cooking or just vibing or storytelling through food, um, it has been great. It has been great for me, and I just can't get enough of it. People really actively reaching out, and like Austin said, like sharing resources. I feel like in the food scene wise, like we really do though. We want to see people win and just kind of like, hey, I saw this. I think this would be great for you, and then vice versa. So it's a very kind place to be in. And it's all food, like how can you be sad?
Do you feel like there's a sense of like gatekeeping in the past and a sense of shift in how everybody operates right now between the ASEAN?
I say
Um,
no.
I think yes and no. I think it just depends, right? I think in the entertainment space, I think people in general gatekeep, right? Um, but I do think there are a lot of people out there um who don't have a problem sharing resources and stuff like that. I think that's why I will go back to saying resource sharing, investing in each other, helping each other out. I think there's room for everyone to have opportunities and make money.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there was before it wasn't there's always going to be like just one Asian person that can do this, right? But now it's like, let me hold your hand and let's figure out for both of us to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is there any common misconception about ASEAN people or the culture that you wish people understood more about?
I mean, I think the misconception is that like we're all this like one thing. Like when people are like, "Are you Asian?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm Asian." Like I'm Vietnamese and Cambodian, right? I think they put us in this box, right? And I think I wish more people understood the range from city to island culture, from the history and traditions, different foods, um, music, right? I think it's so much out there. And this is stuff that I'm still learning too from other cultures. But I think it's the misconceptions like we're just put in this box and we're uh and also another thing too, it's like I think people have a misconception that we're smart, but we're not able to lead. That's another thing. They just think we're more like submissive when it comes to work settings, right? And we're very much capable of leading. We are smart. We can kind of do it all. So yeah.
I love that. Yes, we are, Austin. Yes, we are. Okay, what do I think? I think the misconception, I sometimes I feel like it be your own people, you know? When it and I say this because whether it be storytelling or sharing cultures, I mean, a lot of us we're at the diaspora like came here because war-torn country, we went through a lot of struggles. And sometimes I feel like that narrative, yes, we do want to tell the story, but I feel like there should be a shift in telling that story from, like how we got here instead of like what happened to us. I think there should be a narrative to where it is how we, surpassed or how our resilience, guided us to where we are now, to a place where we can thrive. And I want the younger generation to be like more proud of that aspect rather than, like, do you know what happened to us and this and that? Because sometimes I feel like when we keep telling a story in a negative light, we are training people how to like perceive us as well, right? Like I want people to view us as resilient, like adversity, like I'm all here for it, I can meet somebody and I can even think to myself, wow, like, that person has not been through enough adversity. That sucks for that person, right? But I feel like when I see other Southeast Asian people, I'm just like, you know what? We're gonna connect in some way or another because that trauma bond or that, even my content, when I talk about childhood trauma or any of that, we learn to laugh at our struggles and appreciate adversity. So I think when we start telling stories in a different perspective, it may be the same story, but just a different perception, then I think people would understand us more in a different light.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I personally struggle with imposter syndrome. Is there anything that you would say, because for both of you, you know how to take up space in places that we rarely see Southeast Asians in. So how do you take up space? How do you feel confident to take up space in places that we aren't seen in?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. I feel everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
I got
genuine,
1, 2, 3.
authentic. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something you think about. It's just something
Yeah.
you do, and
Yes.
walk in these rooms confident, be
Mm-hmm.
authentically you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think my secret is just count 1, 2, 3 and just jump, in whatever thing or project. I kind of live life like it, F around to find out for sure. Not sure if that is appropriate in this interview, but it's just the way that I kind of do see things. If I feel like the intention is there, the vibes are there, you just have to figure it out, And I have imposter syndrome too. I can't give you advice. So how do I not have imposter syndrome? I'm like, girl, I have imposter syndrome right now. Like, what am I talking about? But it's just having that and just having a cool like crew of like people and supporters, man, that like let you know like who you are, because that confidence does come from within. Yeah, that's all I got
Um,
for you.
thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, what does meaningful collaboration across ASEAN nations look like in your field? How do you see um, great collabs within us?
I don't want to sound repetitive, but I think meaningful collaborations goes back to like resource sharing, investing in each other's talents, building community, right? And that doesn't even have to be people that look like us. I think it's important in terms of like meaningful collaborations is bringing other people who don't look like us, who don't look like us, and teaching them kind of what we have going on, bringing them into our space. Because once we start to be just kind of exclusive to just our community, we kind of again are boxed in, right? So I think it's important to be inclusive and start inviting other people who aren't familiar with us and our history and our roots and showing them kind of, I guess, our value and what we're capable of. So yeah.
I'd say for sure about that. Because in tune, if we just keep it, keep everything to ourselves and be really the gatekeepers, it's like it's don't be,
Invite
hypocritical
them to
about that.
the cookout, you know. You gotta
Exactly,
invite them to the cookout.
exactly. Yeah, and you're sharing those flavors, right? And in tune, like expanding that, I wouldn't even say the demographic of, I'm speaking for the food scene, right? The demographic of new flavors and the curiosity to try new cuisine and all that too. Like if you're not being inclusive, it's just going to be us around the table, and we want everybody to be and experience how bomb everything is. I can talk about food all day with anybody, so I don't have that problem.
Is there any projects or events that you see this beautiful collaboration happening between different ASEAN representation? Any that you would like to highlight?
I would say Gold Gala. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Gold Gala in Los Angeles.
I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to get in.
It was I attended the first one this year, my first one this year, and it was honestly probably one of the best experiences. Like I would say like that was like the first time in my life that I've been able to be in a space of so many successful like AAPI talent um that look like us, right? And it was just a beautiful thing. It was great. From it could be from culinary, like even the food was from a Filipino chef, right? So from the food to performances and to just the people at the tables, it was great. I love what they're doing. It's like the Asian Met Gala. That's what I would say.
That's so amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you, right? And a little jealous too.
Yeah. How do we get invited?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go to the back. I'm gonna sit something for them.
We'll
Hold
make it
on for
happen.
you,
We'll
eh?
make it happen.
Is there any projects that you like to highlight, A, and that you've seen? Any places that you've been to that you see this like beautiful collab between our representation?
Man, I'm on the internet, girl, so I see it every day. It's a beauty being on the internet. I've I've had some crazy collaborations just from commenting on videos, right? So it's kind of like just seeing that, so using social media the right way and just really connecting, and whether it be a love comment, a hate comment, a support comment, whatever, just seeing people just be themselves on the internet and thrive. And I just feel like it's so casual that I think people are not too shy or not too scared of the rejection. And if if nobody wants to invite you via DM, you could just kind of like put in the comment, hey, you're not sure if this person's going to see your comment or not, like, hey, love this, can you make this for me? It can be a simple question like that, a playful comment, and then I'm gonna DM, be like, yeah, like, where, what area are you in? Yeah, I would love to make it for you. And then it'll be like a collab. Like, it just is very weird. My life is like, it's so odd. But if you never ask, the answer is always no. So I'm gonna ask every chance I get. It's 50-50 at this point. Just gambling.
Because you mentioned hate comments, how do you guys operate? How do you guys sift through the hate that you guys get? I'm pretty sure there's some backlash or there's some haters out there that's saying anything, that's saying some stuff. How do you respond to that, or do you even respond to that?
It depends on my mood of that day, I would say. But uh, being on the internet long enough, the only thing to think about me is my skin, honey. So I'm I'm gonna do it. But I would say I love to tweak people's perceptions about hate comments too, because I feel like that is the one main factor of why people don't express themselves as much, because fear of rejection. Are they going to judge? Is it perfect? Or, I'm a victim of that. Like, just editing my video for hours and hours and hours. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this one's going to hit, and it doesn't. And then you just kind of not care and you post, and then, that video gets viewed. It's very weird. But I have peers that do ask me like for guidance when there is a hate comment, and they just read it and just overthink it. And I'm like, you know what? It's good to have hate comments, right? Because it shows that not only the people that love you're watching, but people that hate you too, which is really much everybody. So the fact that you have the power to capture everyone's attention, um, you should be grateful for that, and then progress from that. And they're funny, they're funny. And sometimes it gets to you. Sometimes it's mean, Sometimes I'd be thinking about it for a couple business days. I'm not gonna lie, but it's the internet. Just show, because out of one hate, like, there's so much love that we overlook because of who we are too. We're just trained to be so rough and hard on ourselves, and it ain't that deep.
How about for you, Austin?
I don't really get hate comments, so I feel like my haters are like they're quiet haters.
They're
They
Oh
hiding.
yeah, those are the
they
sneaky
don't
ones. I
they
don't
don't
like
really
those.
speak on it. But yeah, I'm more behind the scenes guy, so I don't really feel like I get too much hate. So it's probably they're in a corner, not to keeping it to themselves.
My haters be looking for the karaoke mic, bro. They be like, where is it? Full volume.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over some questions that are specifically for each of you. I'll start with Austin. How do you incorporate cultural storytelling into your branding strategies?
Um, I mean, so like I guess is that for like myself or for like the people I work with?
Um, for yourself, for yourself.
And then can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
How do you incorporate cultural storytelling into your into branding strategies?
Um, how do I incorporate? I mean, I think it's like a natural thing. Like I don't really think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I naturally just figure out ways to um do things or incorporate things into like storytelling or marketing strategies that's like authentic to me. And it may not even be like something like targeted towards AAPI, the community, right? It could just be me, right? Authentic to me, which could also be authentic or relatable to a different group of people. So I think that that's kind of how I see it. I think it's not like I'm not like representing like millions of people. I just focus on telling stories rooted in like my lived experiences. So my family, my upbringing, my memories, my identity, and putting that into kind of the things I do on a day to day.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that we can see ourselves in whatever is represented because,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
If you could be black or brown or white, you might still be able to relate, into a lot of things. So I think that's kind of how I see it.
Do you have any advice for young ASEAN creatives trying to build their personal brand in a saturated digital space?
Yeah, I will say it's rough now. Like I have a little brother, he graduated college like 2 years ago, and he is struggling trying to find a job. Like struggling. Um, and it's hard. I said like for the people who are recently graduating, like the idea is like, okay, you graduate, you get a good job, or and it's like now people are struggling to even get a job. There are people older than you with more experience who are applying for the same jobs you're applying for. The market is bad, everything's expensive. Um, so it's rough, but what I will say is consistency, not being afraid to ask questions, um, utilize, we're in this era of social media, and work smarter, not harder, right? So it's like utilize social media to your advantage. I've made a lot of money on social media, right? Um, and I think you can make money from your home, right? From your computer or anything. And I do think also mentorship. Like I had mentors coming up in the industry. I had different mentors for different things. I had a mentor for my finances. I had a mentor for like the entertainment space. I think mentorship is important and being not being afraid to like ask for help and being of service to people. For me, it was always like, okay, how can I be of service to you and not expect anything back? Because once you show your value to people, they're going to want to work with you. So I think like having that mindset of like being a servant leader, showing your value to people, and that can look different in many ways. You can show your value to people through your content on social media, right? And that's why brands will naturally gravitate towards you and be like, okay, I want to work with this person. Or, if you're good with your hands, like showing that through content. I think there's a lot of ways to show your value. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very important to continue to ask for help because not a lot of us know how to ask for help and know that it's okay to ask for help. So that's very important. For A, what is one dish or ingredient that tells your Lao story best and why?
Um, one dish. I mean, I would say it would have to be like in the lab when I'm the territory. And so then one ingredient would be roasted rice powder. It would be that tells my story the most. Um, like for example, I feel like earlier when I talked about the dish about steak, right? Like how to introduce our flavors to make it, what is it? Like biteable, like little biteable pieces of information and try to slowly, increase the level of flavor or spice or whatever. But like, like how I would tweak steak and, make namtok out of it, which namtok dish is, or people call waterfall, is a steak dish that is, sliced and then you just put lime, fish sauce, chili powder, and then the roasted rice powder, and you toss it with a bunch of herbs. And funny enough, there was an elimination round on Next Level Chef to where there were actually two contestants going home. And so there was three people, in elimination, and it was a shrimp challenge. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to go home, I'm going to just, whip up a Lao dish because that's what I really came here to do. And if you guys, have watched the show, it's kind of like you don't know what ingredients you will get and all that. So I found it a little difficult to represent Lao cuisine in that way. But I guess the elimination challenge was a positive thing for me because you could pick your ingredients and all that. And yeah, one guy did, a French dish. And a lot of people think that, French cuisine is like the top of the top, right? Like it was so technical, everything was so beautiful. Another dude did shrimp and grits, right? All American. It's an American show. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make yum shrimp, and I just took the lettuce out, a bunch of herbs, cilantro. It's just like basic ingredients, right? Nothing too complex. But what I sold was the flavor of it. What I sold was, the char on the shrimp, so you can see, like, just think about the street food that we have, and then just fresh herbs that we eat every day. And yeah, and then I won that challenge, and I cried like a baby because I was like, how the hell, right? But then that brings back that imposter syndrome in a way. But when you are like bottom of the bottom, and I literally was bottom three, what the thing that is most certain are your flavors and your culture. And I just kind of I ran with that. So a lot of people talk about this shrimp salad a lot. All the friends, family that what is it, what is it? And yeah, I just did something that you know that I really knew. And fun fact, the vinaigrette that I made, it was gelsum, so it was basically crack sauce, and I mixed olive oil in there, and I just tossed that shit, and I won. So
That's
yeah,
great.
the elimination at least. Yeah.
I love when fish sauce makes us win. I love that.
Yes, it's always the answer. Yeah.
How do you use food to build bridges between cultures?
Dude, it does it itself. I'm saying the job is not that hard, when it comes to food. I'll say there's three universal languages, all right? There's love, money, and food. Okay. So it's something that you don't have to speak. Math is math, love is love. That's why, you're watching videos and you'll cry for strangers, you feel the love. And food is, you can taste it through the screen. So um I feel like food is such a great icebreaker. It's such a great conversation starter. And, just go into a party and just really having that, conversation with food when the hors d'oeuvres come out and you're just eating it and just conversing. And if they don't have food, I just kind of break the ice by being like, hi, I'm A and my sister's name is B. And then, that gets a good laugh. But um, I I think that it's the bridge is, getting bigger and bigger because you can do your remixes. You can be creative. I can be with my friend that won my season of Next Level. So she came out with a cookbook, right? And she's Native American. So we want to do a collab with her fire bread and, put some thumb on that thing or, all of that. Like the possibilities of food, it's like endless. It's a whole like it can go on and forever, and you can bring food into any right into any environment or in any space, and people will gravitate towards the food. I mean, it's an automatic win. So so I would say it's not that hard for me to do that
Yeah,
because of food, not because of me, because of food. Yeah.
yeah, I do agree. I think that food is everybody comes to the table and that's where they talk and
Literally.
they're
Yeah.
around the food.
Yes,
Especially for us Asians, we're going to the food first
for sure.
and
Yes.
then the alcohol. But food first.
Yes.
I'm gonna end with one last question for both of you. What is your hope for the future of ASEAN storytelling, whether it's in your space or other spaces that you see?
I hope people make more content and help me out. A lot of people will DM me for opinions and all that. I'm like, I'm all by myself. I can't do it myself. But I'm kidding. I'm not alone. I do have a lot of peers that work really hard and keep the storytelling going. And like Austin said, keep writing the story. The stories never end. Every chapter is a new chapter. And I just want people to know that it can be anything, right? Like, don't be scared. The fear of the unknown you, is what you don't know. But the thing is, what you don't know, it could be anything. So kind of like shift your mind to think that it's not a scary place. It's a place of possibility. Where anything can happen. And yeah, I just need more people like making more content, man. We need to come out there and be loud about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's really what it is. Like seeing more people that look like me in my space and field of work.
Yeah.
Um, and I think part of that is like I think we tend to like have hesitations or overthink and stuff. I think it's just like you gotta go for it, you gotta do it. Um, whether it looks corny or however it may seem, you just gotta do it.
I love that. We all start off being cringe and corny in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yes. A lot of people think I'm cringe, and I do not care.
Well, thank you guys so much for answering these questions and being a part of this night. You know, the work that you do is very important for us to be seen in all these spaces and media, especially. Um, Growing up, I didn't see myself, and seeing you guys out there doing the work that you do is so important. It's so important. I'm going to hand this back over to Sean to close the night.
Yo, thank you very much. And thank you all very much for being here tonight and sharing your insights. For me personally, I know everybody here, and I'm sure everybody that's going to watch it, really powerful, insightful, and inspiring conversation, I think, about a lot of different topics. And I think, again, very, very relevant to a lot of audiences, which is very exciting. I want to thank all of you, Yao, Chef A, Austin, and Victoria, for sharing your incredible journeys, your vulnerabilities, and your passion for telling the ASEAN story with depth, authenticity, and global reach. If we really think about tonight and what we've heard, there are a couple key takeaways, which I think are very, very important to highlight. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that ASEAN representation is not a moment, it is truly a movement. We heard from Yao about the importance of complexity and nuance on screen, breaking past stereotypes to portray full human and global characters. We heard from Chef A how food is a profound connector, bridging continents and honoring heritage one authentic dish at a time, and even how you're able to engage with Chef Ramsay, which is pretty cool. We heard from Austin about the strategic work required to ensure that our voices are not just heard, but strategically amplified at the highest levels of the culture history in industry, excuse me. And then we also heard from Victoria about the grassroots power of social media to connect our vast diaspora and actively shape the way the world is seeing us and perceiving us. To everyone in our audience, all of those watching, the 680 million voices of ASEAN are louder and more unified than ever before. You are part of this story, and whether you are a creative, a strategist, a chef, or simply an enthusiast, your support in demanding, creating, and celebrating diverse narratives is crucial to supporting this work and moving it forward. On behalf of our entire organization, U.S. ASEAN Young Professionals Association, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. We encourage you to follow our panelists' amazing work and continued amazing work, and to connect with USA YPA to stay engaged in the vital relationship between the U.S. and ASEAN. We have an active LinkedIn page, an active Instagram page, an active newsletter, a lot of different things that are happening, and a lot of different ways to engage in. We have a lot of great events coming up. Number one, we're going to be hosting a sports diplomacy event next month featuring ASEAN American and ASEAN athletes to discuss representation in sports, where you can check out our website and social media in order to find more about this event and get all the details to register. Number two, we're going to be honoring 50 years of the Latonian diaspora, storytelling, photography, fashion, food, and resilience. And UAYPA is partnering with Lao, helping Lao and a coalition of Laotian and Southeast Asian community organizations to celebrate Lao America's 50th anniversary, which will commemorate 50 years since Laotian refugees resettled in the United States on December 6th at the Ann Arbor District Library in Michigan. More information again about that and ways to get involved will be forthcoming. And then third and finally, UAYPA members are invited to attend the Conference on Indonesian Foreign Policy, CIFP 2025, hosted by the Foreign Policy Committee of Indonesia, FDI, on November 9th, and to us directly for more information. The theme is preparing for the next world order, Indonesia, the global South, and the West. Again, on behalf of our entire organization, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you have a wonderful evening or a wonderful rest of your day, and encourage you to carry this inspiration forward into the future. Have a great day. Have a great night. Thank you so much.